Hello sports fans, I'm Colonel Failure and this is Motorsport Manager. You're back at the start of Season 2, where we have just finished the race at the Black Sea with actually a pretty respectable 5th place finish for Vanessa Silveira, who has recently joined the team. Nicholas Hazel, meanwhile, the young upstart that he is, managed to snatch 14th. Overall, that puts the team in 4th position, which is pretty good. I'm happy. Kurt's happy, and we're gonna see if we can go a little bit further. Meanwhile, we've got the results in from the World Championship of Motorsport, the World Motorsport Championship, I believe they call it. Reaper 8-6 for the Panther race team, taking the first position, with James Fishburne and Radon second and third. Obviously, only the first race of the season, so not a lot going on. Mostly same at the bottom, largely just due to favouritism, I'm going to say. Results are also in from the Asia Pacific Super Cup, where Wolfbite is at the head of the pack, with Andrea Floridi and Pix Elator in third. So, confirming what we already knew, in the European Racing Series, Espen Rowe at the top of the table, with Playmoto, who was receiving an awful lot of, well, less than favourable reporting before the race, has managed to hold on to second place, and is this an upset? I don't know. I mean, it seems to me that this is a bit of a shock. So Gary's reported back on the condition of the cars, and he's, well, frankly, he's just not happy. He's saying it wasn't really a great position, and that the parts condition dropped fairly significantly, which is fine. I mean, it's understandable. First race of the season, we've got quite a lot of work to do on the parts in the car. Arnold Boycott from the Evening Herald has got a question. Nicholas Hazel has claimed your brakes seem to be holding the team back, and technical commentators seem to agree. Is it true? Our brakes are awful. He needs to shut up. We need more investment in our HQ. No, our brakes are in fact. Oh, okay. That blew us some marketability. Well, I mean, that was, I could have just hacked my driver off, but that wasn't going to help anything. Anyway, Lisa Amorosi. Amorosi. There we are. Hard-fought win for Rowe in the Black Sea. Right, pushed to limits, blah blah blah. Daring manoeuvres, podium, champagne. There you go. Good news. Alex O'Neill has now signed with us. Right, so we'll sign him up and get him to work. Inez, get out. Now, obviously, with a new mechanic on board, that's going to cost us a little bit more money, but, I'm very optimistic that this is going to lead to some highly promising improvement on the team. Now that we've got two red-hot mechanics going on, I can't see anything but upside. So there we go. So Vanessa's bonding, I think we can say, with Gary, and the wizened old dog of Alex is going to hopefully drag young Nicholas Hazel up into the top flight of drivers. Okay, the car is now fixed, which means that we can get back on with this designing a new gearbox, right? We can get back on with actually improving some of these parts. Right, brakes, improving reliability. Well, yes, that would seem to be the thing to do now, wouldn't it? 12 days after the race. Come on, Gary, shake a leg. I mean, what else could we be spending our time on here? I mean, we've got reliability problems everywhere. We've got a gearbox that we're working on. So, looking at the work that's going on in the workshop at the moment, Gary is hard at work dealing with a set of brakes and a gearbox. Now, why we would choose a set of brakes and a single gearbox is perhaps a little on the baffling side, but obviously the brakes are the best part that we've got right now, and having a gearbox that works throughout the entire race, probably not such a bad idea. Meanwhile, we do have development going on to design a brand new gearbox, which should be complete fairly soon. However, there is news coming to us from the sponsorship den. And in fact, we've got 2 slots open right now. All right, speak to me. All right, Nippon, if we finish 10th or above for 4 races, they'll give us 400 grand. Okay. 11th or above from Deutsche Air, I should say, is worth 300 grand. Home race bonus Japan, 3 times bonus. Or Big Dough will give us 150 grand. Now, am I feeling chancy? Do I think, well, more importantly, do I think I can replicate the kind of success that we had in the Black Sea on a consistent basis? Basically, do I think that 150 grand... I mean, 150 grand helps. 400 grand helps more. But there's nothing I can do other than set the drivers out and ideally not screw up their instructions. There's not a lot I can do to guarantee a 10th place. I think we'll go. We're going to go low risk with Big Dough to start with. Meanwhile, slot 3. Hello there. Right, target position first place, and you will give me 1.2 million, which is jolly nice of you. The alternatives, such as they are, Notify want me to finish 2nd or above, and they'll pay 700 grand if we finish 2nd or above. Yeah, so that's a terrible offer. The Transantarctic Outdoor Company, however, for 2nd or above, they'll pay me 200 grand up front, with a bonus of 1.4. Now, here's the thing. I don't think I'm any more likely to finish 2nd than I am to finish 1st. So I would rather take the £1 million in the bank now. Yeah, I'll just take the $1 million. I'll just spend it. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's... Thank you very much, Ishikawa Malt Whiskey. Yeah, I don't think we've got a chance of hitting 1st place this season. Yeah, I don't think we've got a chance of hitting 1st place this season, unless, you know, a superior amount of luck lands on our side. So I'm always going to take the money up front when it's offered. Right then, a new gearbox has entered the room. 110 performance, 120 out of 123, and its reliability actually looks pretty good as well. I'm not going to hang around. I want another part in development immediately. Let's go with an engine, obviously. I'm not ignoring it. I'm just scanning through the choices. We're off to Munich in 17 days, so I can have whatever I like. Suspension crucial for the next race. Oh, is it though? Alright, in that case, that's where we'll go. We'll go with that, and we'll hang on for an engine at another time. Less red zone, yeah. Medium speed corners plus 20. Well, let's do that then. There we go. And then I'm going to stay with no risk to the parts at the moment, because there is no pressure on me to actually perform in a highly competitive fashion. I don't need to finish in the top 3. I can finish in the my team needs to finish 9th overall. So I will play it safe for the time being while we're still building up the car to be in the position that we need it to be in the long term. Right, heading back to have a look at how the part improvement is coming along. So we've managed to get our primary brakes now up to 67%, so I'll probably stop work on that. Same goes for this backup gearbox. I now want to stick the main gearbox in. So if we take those out, because until we can get a little bit more time in the workshop, we're going to have to just eke out whatever we can to try and get a little bit more reliability and a little more performance out of the parts that we've got. And having, engines in the 40s is not going to do it, friends. So the World Motorsport Championship has completed its race out in Yokohama, second of 16 rounds, where Walter White is top of the table with taking away 10 points, having finished ahead of Ray Don. However, that means that Ray now goes into first place in the championship, followed by White and 8-6 in third. So the suspension has been finished. Only 77 points of performance initially, but the reliability is absolutely terrible. We've got 8 days to work on this ahead of going to the next race, and we're gonna want to beef that up a little bit if we possibly can. Now, the thing is that we're gonna have to stop work on this gearbox, because that's the better of the two gearboxes that we've got in development. No, that's an engine. That's an engine. Engine's up to 51. No, we're going to keep pressing away, because I need one driver to actually do a decent job. Now, I mean, we're working on upgrading the headquarters to get overall more staff working on part development, and that's going to help significantly, but obviously only when it turns up. Right now we don't have it, so we can't have it, as it were. Right, we can now put another part into development. It's not going to be whatever we choose. A new set of brakes would be available, but the reliability would likely be woeful. I think it's time to go for the big dog. Let's go for the engine. So where do we go here? We're at top speed. Well, that's the way to go, I think. Or reliability. No, we go top speed, and we work on reliability by engineering it well. And then once we've completed this build, we'll add another segment of good on top of it, which should help out the car in a significant fashion. Anyway, let's get that rolling, and that will be ready after the next race, hopefully. The question then, of course, is just, do we build a second of our new engine, or do we just stick with the one that we have? So Anna Wardell's reporting on the upcoming race in Munich. It's a 29 lapper, 2.7 miles per lap, and the lap record is 125. It's likely to be some rain. Well, when isn't there? Firebird MRT have the best gearbox in the championship, so they will expect to perform well. Anything else? No, nothing really useful from Anna. Freddie is here banging on about a telemetry centre. There are so many tiny details that can get overlooked without a proper facility dedicated to maximising the performance of the car, so it's bound to help the drivers just get over it, Fred. I'll build one as soon as I can. I will build one just for you. I was never going to build it for Sam, because he was too cheap. I wasn't even paying him properly. But for you, I will dip into the company funding and see what we can do. Right, Gary's still beavering away here. I've now switched him over onto the other engine, because that only had 42% reliability. So we'll see if we can't, just knock another percentage point or two onto that before the race. The Asia Pacific Super Cup reports back from Beijing, where Wolfbite was ahead of Dark Fiberiru and Carlo T. Curious. In terms of the championship, Wolfbite is now head and shoulders ahead of the pack, having won both races so far for Boa Esperança. Pronounce it how you will, friends. Properly, I would suggest. Jonathan Weinstein's here with some pre-race preview bites. Garuda Racing are expected to perform very well this weekend. Technical expert Marie Haskell telling us that their car suits Munich quite superbly. It's a match made in heaven. Well, we'll see. After winning last time, Ozu Motors Espen Rowe will be looking to add to his trophy cabinet in Germany. On the chances of him continuing his form, the 31 told his fans back home, take all their money and put it on me. I'm a shoe-in. I don't know what they mean by that. Meanwhile, Hans 00 is saying that this race is a great chance for us to improve. Bold talk there by 00. Kurt is here. Yes, he spotted a number of transactions coming out of the account that he finds concerning. If the spending pattern continues, we're likely to be very low on cash by the end of the season. Keep an eye on it, Kurt. Tell you what, Kurt, midway through the season, I'm going to hit you up for a cash injection. Meanwhile, I'm going to continue spending it like it's like water. Like it's water? Like it's like water. That's how I'll be spending it. So we're heading out to Munich for the next race, and the choice is before me as to which sponsor we talk to today. It's going to be big dough. We'll see if we can finish in the top 14 in this race. Again, we may have finished 5th last time round, but I can't make any promises with that regard. So I'm just going to have to see how we perform. Right, time to stick some parts on the cars here. Fit parts. Right. What do we have to play with? Right, so Silvera is going to get the better parts right now because she's our number 1 and actually contracted to be number 1. So that there's no controversy going on behind closed doors as to who the number 1 driver is. It's a contractual thing, and Vanessa is it. Right, have we got her? Now, do we give her the reliable gearbox, or the less reliable one that is more punchy? Tricky. I mean, it's 18 points more reliable. Actually, this is a gearboxy kind of a race, so we're going to stick Hazel with the better gearbox, just purely because this is a gearbox critical race, and therefore, if he shreds through the reliability. I don't know. That's a dilemma, but that's the decision I've made, friends, and you know, we're just going to have to cross our fingers it was the right move. There we are. Let's do that as well. Right, engine. Both are pretty terrible, but they have gone the right way around. So we'll see. The bigger problem that we have is that both the cars are actually terrible. So we're heading out to Munich. I do hope you'll join us there after these important sponsor messages. So the clouds are in the sky, but there's no rain falling just yet. It's only going to be a matter of time before they do, however. I'm not going to put Megan on there. No, why would I? Reflects how much information they can give me about the track. Yes. But why would I send out my practice driver? It's a great way to boost the skills of your reserve driver. Yes, I'd rather boost the skills of my main driver. He also needs boosting. Car setup. Right, here we go. Business as usual. We will set the downforce. Yeah, let's give that a tweakaroo here. There we are. Bit of understeer, nice. Now, the one thing that I haven't seen yet that I am expecting to see is a major problem in practice leading to the driver being unable to actually compete at the weekend in the race itself. So, I haven't seen that yet, but I'm half expecting it to happen. Right, the weather forecast is for dry throughout this practice session, so we will go with a dry setup. And then, okay, right, let's tweak you in just very slightly. There we are. Why would you want mediums over the super softs? In fact, they're not even super soft. They're just soft. Well, because it is a tyre shreddy kind of a track, but I'm going to stick you on slicks anyway, on super softs, and you'll figure that out for yourself. Right, okay, let's go and take the practice session and see how we get on. Right, off you go. Yeah, I've just lit again, and wallop. Right, let's not mess around. Let's put them both on an attacking strategy to try and get a good feel for what these cars can do, if anything. So we finally get some feedback after they've effectively finished an entire lap, and it's just asking for better gear ratios from Silvera. Now, as you know, I use that as the trigger point for when to bring the drivers in. I like to keep them out a little longer on their first lap to try and get some decent feedback, so that we can then tweak the car in a way that's going to help them get the most out of it. So Silvera has gained almost to part 1 of knowledge, factor 1, level 1. Right, you want more downforce, you want more understeer, and you want better acceleration. We can do all these things. Let's drop this. No, let's increase this. There you are. That's the right way to go. Let's increase this by 2%. It was observed in the comments last time around that actually tweaking the downforce by that amount is insane, and something that you would never do. To which I say, video game. Right, let's take the suspension down to. Actually, that feels good. And in the speed balance, we will shorten the gear ratio a touch as well. That's quite an aggressive change going on there. Meanwhile, tyres are in good nick. You can carry on the same set of tyres. Mr. Hazel. Not happy with the downforce, not happy with the handling, really unhappy about the speed balance. Well, we can work on that. Again, let's go even more up top as far as you're concerned. There we go. 17.2 degrees on the front wing, 27.2 on the rear. That feels possibly too far, but we will see how he gets on. Meanwhile, I understand he wants more oversteer. Crazy drivers, and it is in the range of what his mechanic is recommending. So you know, I'm going to follow through on that. But you know, whether it's wise or not, hard to say. Anyway, right, here we go. Race trim is working on it. The tyres are still good. Get back out there on the track. Derek Henderson just set the fastest lap so far. No, I changed my plea. Espen Rowe just set the fastest lap so far, almost a second clear of Henderson, who was on slower tyres, has to be fair. And again, we're going to double lap this one, which I'm not overly thrilled about. It seems to me that they can't actually get me feedback within the space of one lap, or rather, the update system is not giving me the kind of feedback I need in that space of time. Anyway, I'm going to bring both drivers in for what will be probably their last tune-up of the car ahead of the race itself. And we're just going to have to hope that it'll be enough for them to be competitive, because obviously without completing a lap we have no idea how competitive they actually are. Okay, well, the only thing we appear to have got right so far is the downforce. I beg your pardon, the speed balance changes. Downforce is still not quite there. So less downforce, most definitely. And as far as the understeer is concerned, wants a little more understeer. Okay, well, that's baffling. Right, downforce, a bit more downforce. I don't want to go too far though. 17.9 and 27 and change there should help. We'll increase the suspension stiffness a smidge more in the hope of finding a more preferable setup. And we won't touch the gear ratios in the slightest. How are the tyres looking? Over half fitness on the tyres. Now we've managed to get up to 88% optimum balance there. We can go better. I'm certain of it. Right, Mr. Hazel, what are we talking about where you're concerned? Again, not happy with the. I mean, okay, well, this is better. Right, let's. You want more downforce still? This feels excessive. But that's where we'll go to. The handling is almost there. In fact, our handling, I'd say, probably is there. Yeah, we'll go there. We'll try that. See how you get on. 91%. I mean, I should just leave them alone. With 91%, that's you know that's near as damn it going to be great. Anyway, this is going to now be it'll either be this setup that they're using now or the one that they were using previously that they take into the race itself. Let's see how they get on. I would very much like to finish 2 laps so that we can at least benchmark ourselves against the other drivers this weekend. So here we go. Vanessa now starting a flying lap. We do have enough to finish a lap, maybe even 2. But if she's pushing it right now, I don't know who the car ahead of her on the track is. I can't even push a button to find out. But she is not keeping pace with it. But who knows exactly what's going on. I mean, those drivers could have been out for 2 laps already. Anything could happen. Practice is a very weird environment. As we've seen in the past, setting a good lap time in practice is absolutely meaningless. There we go. So Vanessa's time there was enough to get us 17th. Hazel's gets him 18th. Well, that's a pretty poor sign. Although historically, poor practice, great race. Right? That's what we're going to say. That's how we're going to phrase that. So there we go, practice done, 16th and 18th overall in terms of practice times, but I'm not going to pay too much attention to those because when we finish well in practice, we've always had a diabolical race. So the fans react. Lilu Mathis, Archer BMR fans have to be insane. It's basically masochism. Yeah. XBC Sport. I wonder what the issue was for Bulldozer Power today. They weren't at the races. Well, we were. We weren't competitive. Christian Batista Coelho. Pretty lame practice session from Bulldozer Power. Thanks, Christian. Stuff them. We don't need them. The true fans follow at Bulldozer Power on their Twitter. Anyway, we need to finish 14th in order to walk home with an extra 150 grand at the end of the race, and I'd quite like to do that. But let's have a look. What have we got here? Soft tyres and race trim. It is then. Okay, we'll take that. Until we get some drivers that can actually work a little bit harder, we're always going to take whatever 2 things are offered. Right, car setup. Let's have a look. Great, excellent, excellent, good, great, excellent. Well, we'll stick with this then. Yeah, we'll keep the setups that they've got. Let's have a look at the forecast. At least 4 laps of dry weather. Now it's only a 40% chance of rain, but I'm expecting it to show up. And then that's nearly certain. From what I understand from the original race briefing, the likelihood is that we will be running through tyres at a rate of knots. Let's have a quick look here. So Hazel, yeah, he's fine. Tyre choice. 10 to 12 laps on the tyre choice, and then his fuel will get him 12 laps. So he's going to be coming in with fuel remaining. So I'm going to stick him out on mediums rather than super softs, and we'll see how he goes. I think I'll do the same for Vanessa. every bone of my body is arguing against me, saying no, put the most aggressive tyres out there. But I think that actually the more important thing to do at this time is to stay out for as long as possible. Although, what if it does start raining? All right, okay, we're going to go a different way. We're going to bank on having another pit stop. Are we, though? Doesn't that feel like a terrible idea? I mean, it's, 160 hundredths of a second a lap that a tank of fuel does for you. We could go out there and properly aggro it. No, we'll stay out. We're going to stay out. We're going to go with the slightly safer choice there, and see where we get on. Indecision reigns supreme. So here's the grid. Shaw, Puppet, Hertz, Longo on the first two rows, then Henderson right next to Nick Hazel. 00 and Mush on the fourth row. 00 having a good showing actually in practice. Mendez and Liao on the fifth. Reverend Plastic, Swans Plastic on the sixth row. That should be an entertaining first corner. Then Fodder and Kitasato, Ruto, Silvera, Thomas, Price. There are some very straightforward names amongst the unnamed contingent of this race corps. And then Playmoto, Espenroe on the back row of the grid. Here we go. The lights are up. And we are go. Hazel with an absolutely diabolical start. Now, I mean, I thought last season we saw some bad starts, but Hazel there dropping an absolute clanger. Now down in 10th. He dumped so many places there. They're just incredible. Silvera has lost a place as well. Oh dear. Well, that's really not a positive opening to this race, which is going to seem like it's going to take all day if this is as well as my drivers can actually perform. Silvera dropping another place, another 2 places, and what this says to me is that the car is just terrible. We'll do that. Yeah, have a go at your tyres for a minute. See if you can do anything with that. Well, Hazel is now at least stabilised in 10th, but he's not going to stay there very long. Silvera, meanwhile, is right at the back of the pack. The better car, the better driver, and worse performance by a very long way. Actually, didn't have a terrible start. Hazel, complete garbage of an opener to the race there as we up the tempo. So I'm not sure what it's going to take for these drivers to actually get some performance out of this, to get a result out of this race. But at the moment, I'm less than thrilled. We've got no overtaking. One of the plastics has stacked it. No overtaking. Ooh, I should file a complaint. So that's Swans. Swans stacked it there. And we're watching Swans Plastic because it's far more interesting than what my drivers are doing. Anyway, back to Hazel, who does have had just dropped 3 places as we watched there. It's got to be the tyres, right? It has to be the tyres, although you can't use that as an excuse. Mendez is also running mediums. Well, that's ludicrous. I've never known the like. I mean, look at the speed at which Hazel was just overtaken. That's insane. Now he's a new driver, but he's not that bad, unless of course he is. Well, we're once again going to have to be relying on the hope everybody else crashes strategy. As it is now, Hazel 17th, Liao in 18th, Silvera in 19th. We are sat with the Bum of the Month club, and and it's likely to stay that way unless we can find some way of getting a bit better performance at all. To say that we were off the pace would be a complete understatement. We're nowhere near the pace. The pace is looking at us over its shoulder as it trots merrily off into the distance. This is a very, very poor performance from my drivers. The weather forecast is dry. Tyres are starting to heat up. Let's take it easier on the tyres, like that makes a difference. Although Steve Mush just got overtaken. I wasn't even watching. So unlikely was that turn of events that I'd taken my eye off the ball. Well, Hazel seems to at least be comfortable in 16th right now, but the battle for 17th, obviously with both Liao and Silvera being held up by Steve Mush, who for reasons best known to himself is having an absolute stinker of a day. Meanwhile, in slightly better news, there are some drivers out there who chose to take the super soft tyre, who are now looking like their tyres are on the wane, and that as such they may need to be coming in soonish. Not that this makes a huge amount of difference to us, but it may mean that on track we could possibly pick up, or maybe a few seconds overall. But frankly, you know, there's nothing really going on here at the back of the pack. We're following our number 2 driver just out of the courtesy, because he's slightly ahead on the road. But frankly, you know, we could follow Silvera and still watch both cars. There's that little in it. And it's leading to a situation where my usually rigorous and buoyant levels of commentary have, well, they're on the verge of running dry, because, I mean, you know, what am I going to tell you? Yes, here we are, still at the back of the pack. There we go. There goes Shaw and Mush into the pits. Well, that's helped us pick up another couple of places. We're still one place below the sponsor objective. We're going to need some dead cars in order to get any benefit out of that. Scott Price is locked up. Here we go. Other cars now pitting. Is there something up with the suspension? Asks Vanessa Silvera. Well, Vanessa, almost certainly is my answer to you. There we are, temporarily up into 10th place, and we're now driving in formation. The tyres are on the way out. We've got a lap and a half of fuel left to go. I'm going to bring in Silvera, who was talking about her suspension being on the fritz. Still nothing but overcast forecast here. Let's have a look at the fuel. Yeah, max it back out, and that should lead to a situation where we can take a partial load for the last run. Oh yeah, the suspension really is terribly broken. So we'll get some spanners on that right now. We'll keep it balanced. Get it going. Yes, I know you've got tyre wear. That's fine. Tyre wear's not helping your lap times. Let's drop you to medium so you can have a pit stop all your own, Mr. Hazel. I know you've got low fuel, so while he's obviously still got one lap to go here, but we're going to work on this. How are the parts looking? The brakes don't look great. I'm going to spend the time on it now, because you know, either that or we spend the time on it later. It shouldn't make that much difference overall. We're not competitive. That much is abundantly clear. But maybe following a few judicious pit stoppery decisions, we can come up with something that resembles a result in some fashion. So Hazel's on vapours, less than half a tank of fuel left to go. The tyres are very tired indeed, but he should be in the pits now. There we go. Obviously, not going to be anywhere near the top 10 by the time it comes back out again. But actually, as far as pit regime is concerned, between the two drivers, we've actually performed reasonably well. And Hazel comes back out in 13th, almost causing a crash with his teammate. Beautiful work, loving it. That's the kind of drama that I will take ahead of any kind of, competitive driving. But the pit strategy worked there, as we have leapfrogged several drivers to end up with Hazel in 14th place. Hans 00 there, just setting the fastest lap time. Henderson 0012 on the grid, on the track right now. Not on the grid. We did the grid earlier. We're on the track at the current time, for those of you who weren't paying attention. Interesting. Espen Rowe there in the pits. And that puts both my drivers within the sponsorship zone. Silvera's having a go at trying to overtake her teammate, and I haven't got team orders on at the moment. But I could have. If Hazel looks like he's holding things up, Silvera looks like she might actually have a little bit more to offer in this race. Then again, maybe not. There we go. Reverend Plastic just set the fastest lap. Where is the Reverend? Reverend Plastic's in 16th. I find it quite hard to believe that he just set the fastest lap. What's he doing? Just leaving a cushion of space so that he could have a real flyer, a real burner of a lap there. 13th, 14th, and actually it does look like from kind of 9th onwards, from Liao, Puppet, Shaw, Mush, Hazel, Silvera, they are bunched right up, and that's Thomas, who's also in the mix here. Something has to give. Silvera just lost a place. That's it. I'm blaming you, Hazel. Well, give me. Allow your teammate through. Damn it. You've been holding her up. There you go, Hazel there. He's celebrating the. Oh, look at him go! See, that's evidently got the bit between his teeth. He's feeling slightly more confident about getting it going. You're having some gearbox issues. Let's have a look. You're fine. You'll be fine. I don't think you're going to last another 7 laps, but we'll see how you get on. But Hazel's gearbox is it's shoddy, to say the least. Silvera now down to 15th, but these cars are so close together. It's anybody can take it, but obviously not us. There we go, Hazel there burning 2 places. It's going to let Vanessa through. Well, get on with it then. You're either letting her through or you're not. Oh, you gigantic Charlie! Learn how to drive. Well, there we go. What was a good track position that we were in there, now looking like garbage. I'm just going to let you race in Future Sunshine, because letting people through, you let half of all of the remaining drivers through. You Burke. Right, let's blow the tyres here. They've got some space for some heat left in them. There's no change in the forecast. Yeah, you see, it just looks like Hazel wants it more. It does look like Hazel is more interested in actually driving this race than Silvera. But I'm not impressed with either of them at this point. Once again, we're in formation towards the back of the pack. He's back off on the tyres. We would quite like to pit late so that we can take a low fuel load for the run-in. A couple of your parts are looking a bit rough. Let's have a look. Yes, they are, aren't they? Well, I would also quite like both drivers to finish But it looks like the reliability problems that an awful lot of cars were suffering in that first race of the season have apparently been resolved. Which leads me to go, well, how do they pull that off then? Because, you know, I haven't had radical improvement across the board. Maybe they have that elusive telemetry centre that people keep bleating on about, and that maybe I need to start thinking about telemetry in a more frequent fashion. There we go. So we're now doing the pit stop overtaking. Longo Ruto currently in the pits with Mush and Shaw pretty much out of it, I would say. But we've got a long way to go to assure ourselves of a top 14 finish, which is what we want, just in order to take the heat out of the cost of racing, just ever so slightly. Right, we're going to pit Silvera on this lap, and we will come back out on crazy tyres. 8 laps remaining after the fuel stop. We will go with 9 laps of fuel, which that always fills me with fear. The parts condition, apart from the engine, which looks a little bit, I think it's going to be okay. We're going to put her back out. Obviously, Hazel came in later, so he can pit later. And we'll see which the correct strategy was. The number of people that are now switching to the medium tyre is really interesting, but there we go. Silvera had a great pit stop, comes out in 12th. This is the kind of stuff we want to see. And Kit Tasato has retired due to mechanical problems. See, that was me talking about mechanical problems. That's what made that happen. Right, I think we go with let's go with the aggressive tyre here. The aggressive tyre looks to be the right move. What have we got? 7 laps left after the pit stop. We'll make sure you've got enough for 8 laps. Yeah, we're going to need to fix both of those. You're going to be in there a little while. We probably ought to fix that at the same time. The finish is the thing that is important to me right now. I want those championship points to ensure that we can complete the season in 9th place or better, as we promised the boss. Oh, who's that? 14th. That's Finger Puppet. Car appeared to be on fire there as it tore into the pits. So maybe there are still some reliability problems out there, and maybe we can capitalise on that a little bit. Meanwhile, Hazel's going to be in the pits for the next kind of month. But Silvera is now riding in 8th rather. Now we've got 6 or so laps to go, and she's not going to hold on to 8th. Price is going to overtake fairly soon. Steve Mush maybe will be able to get there as well. But it is on slow tyres, and it doesn't look like he's pitted yet. So Steve Mush, forget Steve Mush. Finger Puppet, Thomas, Plastic. No, I think it's just Finger Puppet and Thomas we're looking at. So Silvera, if she behaves herself, this could lead to another top 10 finish. But we certainly don't want to be guaranteeing that behaviour right now. And she's already burned through 25% of her tyre resistance, her tyre capabilities. So we may need to ease back on the tyres. Let's have a look. Everybody else is thrashing those medium tyres for all they're worth. We've got a couple of people chancing it on the super softs as well. Interesting stuff. Steve Mush is going as gently as possible. I guess he's hoping that he can eke out the setup that he's got going on. Interesting. Ish. What have we got here? Silvera's saying she might be getting some engine problems. Brilliant. Well, 5 laps to go. There's not a huge amount. I mean, I could bring you in and stick you out on a fresh set of tyres and a new engine. But I think we will just chance it. I think we're going to have to chance it. No, we're going to chance it. It's worth 150 grand if you finish anywhere ahead of 14th. So we're gonna chance you staying out and the engine not falling out of the bottom of the car. Hazel's been blue flagged, which means that he'll drop about 3 places on the track, given that if he lets anybody overtake him, he goes to pieces entirely. So lap 27 of 29, Silvera is in good track position, 6 or 7 seconds ahead of Finger Puppet, is immediately behind her. Can she hold it together to complete the race? Will the engine fall out of the bottom of the car? Are you feeling the excitement? I should hope you are. Play Moto just ahead, but Moto doesn't show any signs of allowing Silvera to pass unless he screws up the blue flag that is coming, in which case it may be our opportunity to strike, but we'll have to see how that goes in the next couple of corners. It's not going to be our opportunity to strike at all. We're just going to have to see Finger Puppet's caught right up, likely to be overtaking. Is overtaking, has overtaken. Hold on, what's this? With Trolley Fodder has retired. Trolley Fodder has retired, which means that that Vanessa manages to maintain 9th place. Meanwhile, Thomas is showing the spanner of, oh my gosh, my car's in a whole lot of pain. This too works in our favour. It now means that I need only one more car to have some kind of an issue, and we are guaranteed a 14th place finish. But obviously, you know, the mechanical problems that other drivers were facing in the last race are less than they were in the first race of the season, and we can't bank on that being a factor in every race. We have to improve our own parts in order to guarantee that we finish the season. Do not let him overtake. There we go. With just 0.1 of a lap of fuel left in the tank, Silvera there finishing 8th overall. I was clearly too soon to judge that my drivers weren't going to get it done this week, as maybe not quite as strong a finish as last week as the first race of the season, but we have once again finished the race with one car in the top 10. I could have taken a more aggressive stance from my sponsors, but frankly I would always rather bank the cash. So there we go, pretty effective tyre strategy, pit strategy, even if I say so myself, and even if we weren't the only ones to be doing it. 2 stints on the medium weight tyres and then 1 on the super soft, doing a reasonably good job. So confirming what we already knew there, and Silvera finishing in 8th place, not so bad. 13 more points with Hazel down in 15th. But he's a young whippersnapper, and frankly the information, the experience that he's gathering in this, his first season, is going to surely be incredibly valuable for him later in his career. So in the Drivers' Championship, Vanessa now 5th overall, in fact still 5th overall, with well ahead of a 3-pack of 00 Mendes and Leal, whereas the bold, the brave, the beautiful Nicholas Hazel there is down in 16th. Team-wise, that puts us 7th, just a point behind Garuda and Octane Racing. Well clear of Archer and Predator, who are going to be the teams that we need to beat if we're to hit our team objectives this season. Well, here we are, social media time again. Daisy sang, P. Ruto is rubbish. No hashtags, just exclamation marks. Well, pretty strongly spoken there, but it is the internet, what do you expect? Meanwhile, Keith Stanjuduha, why did Bulldozer Power cross the road to get to the middle? Pretty hilarious. I'll be laughing about that one later. The Central Sports Network with Sophie Richards. Lots of excitement for Derek Henderson's win, but don't forget about Bulldozer Power. They look strong. Hashtag contenders. If you say so. So here we are, a little more experience for the drivers there, and actually Hazel picking up a good degree of slight bar wobblage, slight bar adjustment there. as a result of him finishing that race. But no change to any of the numbers there overall. Vanessa, however, is, she's starting to emerge into her next star. Good for you, Vanessa. Relationships are both coming along quite nicely. Hopefully, as that picks up, we'll start to see even better pit changes, even better responsing, which is a word, and even better results from Bulldozer Power as the season progresses. Anyway, that wraps it up for Munich. I hope to see you for the next race. I've been Colonel Failure. Throw a like at this one if you enjoyed the race. Subscribe if you want to make sure you don't miss out on the next one. And I'll be back very soon with more high-octane, nerve-jangling, seat of your pants, edge of your seat, thrill ride, Motorsport Manager. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.